Can Green Sun Zenith and Seedcradle Witch of all things turn Enchantress into a one-turn kill combo deck in Modern? That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it is time for some more Modern. Today we got a deck that is really intriguing to me. So we're playing some Enchantress in Modern, which is an archetype that I really love and that we've played in the past, but this is Enchantress with a pretty interesting twist thanks to Green Sun Zenith, which lets us turn Enchantress from this like value-y deck into this one-turn kill combo deck by adding just a single card for Green Sun Zenith the tutor up. So let's talk about our new combo-y Green Sun Zenith Enchantress deck, what it's trying to do, jump into a Modern League, see the deck in action. So we start off with the basic stuff. So we are a very traditional Enchantress deck. Seth hits Enchantress's presence to draw tons of cards, Sanctum Weaver, which we'll talk about more in a minute when we get to the combo, to make tons of mana. Then we just have a bunch of enchantments, Abundant Growth, Utopia Sprawl, super cheap to trigger our Enchantresses, plus Utopia Sprawl ramps us, Onto Nice for removal, Sterling Grove, insane because it gives all of our enchantment Shroud, so it protects from removal. Blood Moon, I mean, you can't not play Blood Moon, right, in an enchantment deck to get some free wins in the right matchups. And then, as far as winning the game, we really have two plans. Plan one is Solitary Confinement. So Solitary Confinement wins us a game by essentially making it so we can't lose the game. It makes us skip our draw step, and we gotta discard a card on our upkeep, but we can't be targeted by anything, and all damage to us is prevented. So the idea is, if we can stick a couple of Enchantresses, we can play Solitary Confinement. Sure, we don't get to draw for our turn, but we draw so many cards by casting our enchantments that it doesn't really matter. So we can keep Solitary Confinement alive forever, and eventually our opponent will just scoop, or we'll find our actual way to get our opponent's life total to 0, which is Destiny Spinner. Once we get a big board, lots of enchantments, lots of mana, we just play Destiny Spinner, turn some lands into these massive, trampling, hasty threats to kill our opponent in one attack. But this is where we get to the cool new part of the deck. So everything we've talked about so far, traditional Enchantress stuff. So the big new addition is the recently unbanned Green Sun Zenith. So Green Sun Zenith, kind of insane in this deck because all of our most important enchantment creatures happen to be green. So for 3 mana, we can snag a Sanctum Weaver, we can snag a Sethis, we can snag our Destiny Spinner to close out the game, but it also allows us to play a single new card in Seedcradle Witch, and this one card changes the entire way that this deck plays. So Seedcradle Witch, it's a card that you normally wouldn't want to play in an Enchantress deck, right? Because it's not an enchantment, doesn't have any direct synergies with what we're trying to do. It's a 1 mana 1/1 that for 4 mana you can untap a creature and give it +3/+3. But this allows us to turn our deck from this value enchantment deck into this one-turn kill infinite combo deck. And I just love how this shows all the different things that Green Sun Zenith can do. We've seen a lot of Green Sun Zenith decks that are like toolbox decks with a bunch of one-ofs where you try to tutor up the right piece at the right time. In this case, we're just playing straight up OG Enchantress, but adding a single card, which we essentially have 5 copies of thanks to Green Sun Zenith, but Green Sun Zenith is also copies of Sethis and Sanctum Weaver and all our important cards, so we can get away with playing the Seedcradle Witch and finding it when we need it. So how do we go infinite with Seedcradle Witch? And the answer here is Sanctum Weaver. So to go infinite, we need a non-summoning 6 Sanctum Weaver and at least 5 enchantments on the battlefield. And what we can do is tap Sanctum Weaver for 5 mana, use Seedcradle Witch to untap it for 4 mana, then do it again and do it again to make infinite mana. And because we're an Enchantress deck, we probably got to Sethis out or some sort of Enchantress effect to draw us cards. So with our infinite mana, we just keep casting spells to draw a ton of cards. Eventually we find our Destiny Spinner. With our infinite mana, we just turn all of our lands into like 20 hasty tramplers, kill our opponent in one attack. Also worth mentioning, if our opponent doesn't have blockers, we can just straight up win with Seedcradle Witch Pump. Not only does it untap the creature, but it gives it +3/+3. So technically our Sanctum Weavers and Seedcradle Witches and Sethises are all going to be infinitely large. Unfortunately, they don't have evasion, so they can be chump blocked. That's why we need Destiny Spinner, to make sure we have that evasion to close out the game. But that's the combo of the deck, and that's how adding a single new creature in Green Sun Zenith can turn Enchantress from its value-y self into this one-turn kill combo deck. As far as the mana base, we got 1 Dryad Arbor, which it's a necessary evil, I guess, because we're playing Green Sun Zenith, so we can ramp it on turn 1, but it's really clunky if you don't get it with Green Sun Zenith. Otherwise, pretty typical stuff. Snow cover lands to support support or removal in the sideboard. Authority of the Council is for aggro. Rest in peace for graveyards. One more Blood Moon for the Amulet Titan and Tron style decks, Eldrazi style decks, and then a bunch of ways to deal with artifacts and enchantments. And that is Green Sun Zenith combo Enchantress. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into a league and see if Seedcradle Witch, of all things, can bring Enchantress back in Modern. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. I really like just the theory of this deck. I think that's what intrigues me. We've played Enchantress before, right? And this deck is very, very similar to past Enchantress decks. But Green Sun Zenith, this is just a great example of how Green Sun Zenith can take an existing deck and really change how it plays, even with just a small number of cards changing. So Green Sun Zenith gets all of our important green Enchantress pieces. It gets Sethis, it gets the Destiny Spinner, gets Sanctum Weaver, but it also lets us play a single Seedcradle Witch. Just one copy, a card that we'd never want to draw in a normal Enchantress deck, and find it with Green Sun Zenith and just go infinite and win the game on the spot in the late game. So I think it's really sweet to see. Like, it allows you to play that one card that maybe isn't good enough before, but definitely good enough when you can snipe it at the right time and not draw it when you don't need it. Because we've seen like full-on toolboxy Green Sun Zenith decks. This is a very, very different style of Green Sun Zenith deck, where it's like, I'm doing what I was doing anyway, but now I get Green Sun Zenith for consistency and this new combo on top of it. What are you up to? Scalding Tarn. All right, so probably the Silly Frog deck. We draw more on Thin Ices. Well, let's Windswept Heath and pass the turn. We would like to get down the Sterling Grove to protect our dorks. Opponent, yeah, definitely the Oculus Frog deck, which the modern meta right now, well, there's Oculus. The modern meta right now is, wow, that is unfortunate when they just hit it off the Surveil land. Is this turn 2 Oculus? Yeah, all right. The power of Surveil lands. Crack this. I think we actually just have to get a snow-covered plains, unfortunately. Get a snow-covered plains. So now we're going to have to on Thin Ice the Oculus. Yeah, that's... that is hilariously unfortunate. Well, on Thin Ice. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta. Okay. Well, snow-covered plains and on Thin Ice. Get rid of the Oculus, although kind of temporary. They do have answers. Pass the turn. Down to 17. Well, all right. Green Sun Zenith. Verdant Catacombs. Let's crack Verdant Catacombs. Get a snow-covered forest. And I think we just play let's play a Sethis since we have 2 of them. If it was Styx, it would be nice. This deck is really just a pile of counters and removal. And then Frog, Oculus, Murktide, basically. Wow, okay. After a grand amount of deliberation, opponent, let Sethis resolve. All right. Not sure why that took so much brain power, but we got there. Gonna play the MDFC. Gets in with their Manifest. Passes. Snow-covered forest. Well, we're gonna play a snow-covered forest. We are going to play a Sethis. Opponent is going to counter this Sethis. Well, we are going to play a Sterling Grove. Yeah, it seems like a very tough matchup. So the thing about Enchantress is, we really need to get multiple things on the battlefield for our deck to start doing its thing. Frog, that's very bad for us. We really need to get multiple things on the battlefield, and our opponent's deck has done a very good job of not letting us get multiple things on the battlefield. Man, I don't like losing this. So Sterling Grove, crack it. So get it on Thin Ice. Temple Garden untapped. Green Suns, X2 to get a Sethis, and then on Thin Ice. Ugh, another land. Get rid of the Frog. I mean, so far we're dodging the threats. We're still at 11. We're not dead yet. We're out of enchantments to cast, though, which is less than ideal. One of the issues we have is eventually we're going to find a Sink into Stupor, a Twara to bounce our on Thin Ice. Ugh. All right. We need a card draw engine of some kind. Well, let's play the Portico. I think we wait. We can't even trigger it at the moment. Abundant Growth. All right, we'll keep Abundant Growth on top. Pass the turn. So I think our hope is next turn Green Suns for a Sethis number 4. See if this one lives for a minute. Draw some cards with the Abundant Growth and hopefully get some snowballing going. I guess we're kind of okay with them bouncing one of these so we can recast it and trigger our stuff. Graveyard Trespass. Wow, they actually spun into a real card. What are the chances? All right, mount it. Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, I guess I will also say in our defense, some serious high rolling from our opponent this game, where they surveil land turn 1 the Oculus, and then the Oculus actually, they don't have that many creatures in the deck, actually manifested a real creature. Well, 1, 2, 3. Green Suns. X2. Get the Cephas. Abundant Growth. Draw a couple cards. Okay. Abundant Growth. Draw a couple cards. How about a land for the Sanctum Weaver? Please? All right, Snow-Covered Forest and Sanctum Weaver. And opponent has a Spell Snare. Yeah. Not dead yet. If the Cephas lives, we got a shot. Opponent gets it, hits us. If the Cephas dies, our shot is greatly diminished. Down to 4. Oh, come on, Cephas. We need this. We need the life and the cards, honestly. We need everything Cephas has to offer. Cycles Unearth and passes. All right. Well, let's see what we can do. Utopia Sprawl. Draw a card, gain a life. Oh, Enchantress's presence is actually wonderful. That is huge. That might give us a shot. Enchantress's presence. Draw a card, gain a life. See if our opponent has a counter. They're going to force a negation, but that's their last card. I think we actually just have to play a Solitary Confinement for a turn. We're not ready to lock it in yet. We're going to use this as like a sorcery speed fog, just so we don't take damage this turn. Get in and hit. Your opponent's out of cards. Wait, are we gonna take down the best deck in Modern? Is that actually a thing that might happen with Enchantress? A removal spell for Cephas would still be good for our opponent. Getting in, gaining a little life, eating a little Cephas. Yeah, down to 6. Murktide Regent. Okay, that's fine. That's just another big body. So we are going to sack the Solitary Confinement. Draw Dryad Arbor. Well, okay, 1, 2. Sterling Grove. Draw Boseiju. Sterling Grove. Sack the Sterling Grove to get an Enchantress's presence. Oh, we got to do it again, don't we? Solitary. We got to Solitary Confinement. Temple Garden tapped. Bad news here is we're going to have to sack our Solitary Confinement again. The good news is we have now shrouded up Cephas at least. Scoops it up. Okay, that was touch and go. I thought we were in serious trouble, but in the end, eventually, we stuck a Cephas and that was enough. Oh, silly Demir Frog. What do we cut? I guess like Abundant Growth, and maybe 1 Green Suns. Let's try it like that. We need the rest in pieces. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try it. The risk is it's a Thoughtseize or a counter spell on the Utopia Sprawl. But with the Utopia Sprawl, I like this hand. The rest in peace is huge. Sterling Grove is great. Blood Moon could actually be pretty good. I mean, ideally we just draw another land anyway, and it's a little bit less stressful, but Bounded Island. Ooh, on the mull to 4. Okay. Well, the countering Utopia Sprawl might be less likely now. Land? All right, well, land and Utopia Sprawl. I think we just go red. I think we want to open up the possibility of slamming this Blood Moon. I can't believe we beat the turn 2 Oculus. Opponent gets a Graveyard Trespass. All right, better than Oculus. That's fine. The real question is going to be, does this Rest in Peace resolve? If that resolves with our opponent being on the mulligan, then we are off to the races. Opponent passing. Well, Snow-Covered Plains. I actually think we just play Enchantress's presence. Pass the turn. This sets us up best for the long term. Opponent. Do they find land number 2? Yes, but it's another island. Draw some cards, hopefully. Ooh, Sanctum Weaver's not bad. Well, let's play Prismatic Vesta. Let's crack Prismatic Vesta. I think we need another green source, right? All right, let's take a white source. Let's play, see if that draws out the counter. It does, but do you have another one? Because the spell we really want to resolve is this Rest in Peace. Wow, that does not seem worth it, but sure. Rest in Peace? And Graveyard down? Why would you consign? An opponent scoops it up. I don't know about why would you even bring in Consigned to Memory? It countered an Enchantress Presence card draw trigger? Is spending card and a mana to stop a single card draw worth it? I don't know what in our deck that's targeting, but well, we'll take it pretty convincingly. Although game 2, it helped that our opponent didn't have mana. Game 1, our opponent kind of high rolled and we still beat him with Enchantress. Well, not bad. I don't know if this hand's even good. We got no card advantage engine, but what we do have is a turn 2 Blood Moon on the play, and in the right world, that might just end our opponent. We'll see. We'll see the matchup, see what they're up to. I can't pass up a turn 2 Blood Moon. It's just... it's my favorite thing. Even if, oh, please be a good Blood Moon matchup. In our dream world, it just wins us the game, but we'll see. Triome. How about a Triome? Start with that Surveil land. Watch our opponent be mono red. Basic island. Okay. Well, let's Windswept Heath and crack Windswept Heath for a snow-covered plains. And I mean, we gotta go for it. We gotta go for it. Blood Moon. You don't want any fetch lands? Oh, all right. Well, oh, Merfolk. What? Okay. Pitches a Merfolk Trickster to the Force on Merfolk. Master of the Pearl Trident. All right. How about a card advantage engine? Sethis Stomping Grounds. All right. Well, I guess we need to Abundant Growth to draw a card. And okay, well, play a snow-covered forest and on thin ice. Get rid of the Lord. All right, we just need a way to draw cards. We just need a way to... Green Sun Zenith would be great. I don't even know why they cared about the Blood Moon. The Blood Moon does not even seem good. Harbinger of the Seas. They wanted their own Blood Moon. Gosh darn it. I guess we'd rather have non-D6B mountains. And I don't even think we Utopia Sprawl. I think we hold on to Utopia Sprawl to cast once we find some card draw. Ether Vial. Gets and hits us. Blood Moon wins anyway. Sterling Grove. Okay. Well, Sterling Grove is something. We are probably just going to sack it to get some card draw, but opponent. Flood Pits Drowner. Yeah, we got to get some velocity. Eventually, these random dorks, especially if they find a Lord, is going to kill us kind of quick. The question is, Sethis or Enchantress's presence? Opponent gets and hits us. Sethis gets got by creature removal. Enchantress's presence gets got by force negation. I think we go Sethis. We should at least get a draw off of Sethis, right? Play the Sethis. Oh boy, okay. Maybe we guessed wrong. Stern Scolding. All right, so the opponent's got a lot of counters. Oh boy, well, we're running out of time. Opponent gets and hits us down to 9. Are we gonna lose to Merfolk? We're gonna beat Tamir Frog and lose to Merfolk. Savulin, that's kind of busted. Destiny Spinner. So we play Destiny Spinner, but we don't have enough mana to activate it. We kept a hand that didn't have a card advantage engine, but had a turn 2 Blood Moon. And it turns out it was a matchup where our opponent's also playing a Blood Moon. So Blood Moon doesn't do anything. I'm actually surprised they countered it. It seems so not good against their deck. Like, we got to find a way to sideboard out. And I'm not even sure. Merfolk might just have our number. Opponent combat attacks. I mean, we're going to block. If it dies. Like, there's... Yeah, I guess this is technically better. If they have a Lord and it dies, we're going to lose anyway, so we might as well. We got to take the high risk mode, right? We got to take the high risk opponent, and we will scoop it up. Blood Moon seem bad, but Rest in Peace is bad, Force is bad, Collector Authority of the Consoles does not seem great, but I guess that's the only card that we can bring in that is not totally dead. So on one hand, the easiest way to beat Merfolk is just kill all their stuff, and our deck is not exactly great at that. On the other hand, Merfolk doesn't strike me as a super disruptive deck, so it feels like we should be able to pop off, but maybe not. Maybe it's harder than it seems. 1,000,000 lands into Enchantress's presences. I feel like it's just too... I love Enchantress's presence. I feel like this is just too slow, though, and too many lands. Okay, this is actually meaningfully better. This we will keep. We'll put the Lush Portico to the bottom. We can turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, turn 2 Enchantress's Presence, and that is way better than turn 3 Enchantress's Presence. Put it on what? They could still have forces, or like Spell Pierces or something. Island, and passing. This is a Seedcradle Witch. Well, that is our one of secret tech card that we really don't want to draw, and we want a Green Suns after we have a Sanctum Weaver, but Enchantress's Presence. Opponent. Force, pitching a Slink into Stupor. Opponent. Wow, we got a lot of Sink into Stupors. And a Tide Shaper. That is an incredible blowout. Well, now we need a land. Land. Sanctum Weaver. Not a land, but we're going to play it. Oh, that hurt. Yeah, maybe Merfolk is actually a bad matchup because they can just snipe all of our Utopia Sprawl. Wow, another Sink into Stupor. Gonna get in with a Tide Shaper. Perhaps leaving up another Force. Another Tide Shaper. Okay, opponent passes. A Windswept Heath. Well, that is actually pretty good. Play Enchantress's Presence. Windswept Heath. Crack Windswept Heath. Snow-covered Forest. Abundant Growth. Ooh, On Thin Ice is not bad. And draw a card. This also lets us get some real mana out of one of these silly islands. So we're not quite to going infinite yet. So to go infinite, we need at least 5 enchantments with the Seedcradle, with the Sanctum. About it, passes. And Merfolk Trickster, gonna tap down the Sanctum Weaver. 1, 2, draw a card. Actually, you know what? Let's Windswept Heath. Let's crack Windswept Heath. I think we do need to deal with something. Get a Snow-covered Plains. On Thin Ice. Ugh, Dryad Arbor. Get rid of the Tide Shaper. And I guess we're just going to play the Seedcradle Witch. And opponent has a Stern Scolding. All right, well, pass the turn. So the real question is, do we have to sack the Sterling Grove to get an enchantment of some kind? Hexcatcher. Well, that speeds up the clock. Opponent combat hits us. Down to 6. Well, upkeep. I think we have to sack the Sterling Grove. Oh, we could just take removal. Maybe that's just get rid of the Hexcatcher. Does that make the most sense? The other option is we take Sethis. We get a card off the Enchantress's Presence and hope to hit something else. And it does gain us some life. Yeah, we're going to take the safest line. We're going to take On Thin Ice. On Thin Ice. Draw a card. Get rid of the Hexcatcher. Sanctum Weaver. Draw a card. Okay, another one. All right, another Stern Scolding, but opponent's down to 1 card in hand. Sanctum Weaver. Draw a card. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Go. Okay, we need an enchantment. We need an enchantment. Opponent untaps. We do die to an Island Walk Lord, sadly. Attacks. Well, we will block 1 of them. Drop to 4. Come on, deck. We need an enchantment. We need an enchantment. Opponent. Another Tide Shaper. Yup. Sure. Enchantment. 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 Solitary Confinement. Well, it keeps us alive for a turn at least. Let's Prismatic Vesta. Crack it down to 3. Get a Snow-covered Plains. 1, 2, 3. Solitary Confinement. Into a Sanctum Weaver. Okay. Sanctum Weaver. Into a Beseishu. We gotta pass the turn. But we're a little light on cards. Sevulin. All right, getting worse. Opponents. We gotta let the Solitary Confinement go. And then we need to top deck. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. We need an enchantment. And that is not an enchantment. Well, Temple Garden tapped. Yeah, boy. The fizzle. Merfolk getting a win in Modern in 2025. Talk about against the odds. An opponent, top deck's removal, and that does it. Oh, the Sterling. Oh, they're all the. Oh my god. Oh, interesting. Lots of mana, just not enough card draw. We're gonna keep a 1-lander, which is a little scary. Oh, it's Eldrazi. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, let's see how this goes. Windswept Heath, crack Windswept Heath, Temple Garden, untapped, and Green Sun for a Dryad Arbor. It's a 1-lander that can do that. So we technically have 2 lands on turn 1, but we don't have a follow-up. You know what seems good against Solitary Confinement is Annihilator. Opponent. Utopia Sprawl. Interesting. And land off the top? No. Sethis. Well, we will play a Sethis. We will pray very hard that it lives and we can start drawing cards. Opponent. Oh, wow. Okay. Opponent also has some missing land drop issues. Opponent passes land. Sterling Grove. Well, 1, 2. I think the safest plan is just Sterling Grove. Oh, Blood Moon. Opponent passes. Discards a Devourer. Ha! Okay. Stomping Grounds. And 1, 2. Sanctum Weaver. Oh, that is huge. That is, oh. This is like super greedy, but actually, no, it's not worth it. If this was a non-basic, it would have been worth it. But I guess just pulling up the Utopia Sprawl doesn't do anything. Hit you for 1. Pass the turn. And we have the Blood Moon, so if our opponent does start popping off, oh. Now that we have Sanctum Weaver, we have a lot of mana. On Thin Ice. Wait, do we get to go infinite here? Can we go infinite? Is that possible? Sanctum Weaver. Draw a card. Utopia Sprawl. Draw a card. Tap this for white. Utopia Sprawl. Draw a card. Sanctum Weaver. Oh, I think we're just short. Get the Seedcradle Witch. Oh! Wait. Okay, hang on. So we need to sack the Sterling Grove. Enchantress's Presence. Now we can untap the Sanctum Weaver. Abundant Growth. Draw the Enchantress's Presence. Draw an Enchantress's Presence. Enchantress's Presence. That's our fun for the turn. Get in with Sethis. Pass. Next turn, we are fully in an opponent. There's not going to be a next turn. That turn, we are just a little bit light on mana. So what we need is essentially 2 untaps, right? We want to be able to tap Sanctum Weaver to make white, tap it to make green. If we can do that, then we get to go infinite. All right, Eldrazi. So Blood Moon in. Do we want Force of Figures? They do have artifacts. Maybe we go a couple. Maybe we go a couple Force of Vigors, run it like that. Ooh, wow, that's another potentially fast Blood Moon hand. Definitely benefited from our opponent stumbling around on lands. Found it Forest and Utopia Sprawl. On blue, interesting. Snow-covered Forest and Green Sun Zenith. For a Dryad Arbor. Go. And we get 2 mana on turn 1 as well. Talisman of Impulse. All right, Misty Rainforest. Opponent cracks it. Gets another forest. Another Utopia Sprawl. Okay, that's actually a little concerning. That's actually a lot concerning. Well, Windswept Heath and crack Windswept Heath. Grab a Snow-covered Plains, and we're going to get down the Destiny Spinner, I guess. Yeah, a little worried about the amount of mana our opponent has. If they can go land, kick a Sowing Microspawn, that's tough. That's real tough. They've just added a lot of extra mana to the battlefield, and they've done it in a way that doesn't really care about Blood Moon. Sterling Grove. Play the Sterling Grove. Make some mana. Play the Blood Moon. So at least this shuts off Kozilek's command. They don't have double colorless at the moment. Wasted Battle Mage. So opponent's going to bounce our Dryad Arbor, blow up our Sterling Grove. Cannot really do anything about that. And Bajuka Bog. Technically a mountain. Opponent's deck is weird. I do not know what their deck's doing. Well, we draw, Green Sun Zenith. So if we play Dryad Arbor, it's still a creature and summoning sick. Well, 1, 2, 3. Let's Green Sun to get a Sethis on Thin Ice. Draw a card. Get rid of the Battle Mage. Pass the turn. Hope for no whammies. Opponent untaps. As long as they don't have double colorless, I feel a little safe. Oh my god, such a blowout. Ugin's Labyrinth as a mountain. The Blood Moon's doing some work. It's doing some work. Opponent passing. Well, let's see what we find. Snow-covered Forest. I'll play the Snow-covered Forest. 1, 2. Destiny Spinner. Make some mana. Does it say untap? It does not say untap. All right, make some mana. Destiny Spinner. Draw a card. I mean, I guess we smack you with a forest. Go to combat, hit you. I think next turn we should be able to go infinite. If we untap our board, all is dust. Oh god, please don't all is dust. Let's get ready to... All right, they find a Myco Spawn, a Battle Mage, or a Kozilek's command. So I might have to, they're going to take the Battle Mage to get rid of the Blood Moon, I guess. Well, we just need to literally win the game this turn, which we might be able to do. Assuming it's just a Battle Mage, I think we can do it. So there's a Battle Mage. Oh, I guess they can bounce the Sanctum Weaver. So yeah, now we can't actually win this turn. That's awkward. Opponent passing. Well, let's see what we find. Enchantress's Presence. Well, 1, 2, 3. Enchantress's Presence. Draw a card. Snow-covered Plains. Sanctum Weaver. Draw 2 cards. And, all right, pass the turn. Come on, one more turn. One more turn of not dying to these silly Eldrazi opponent taps. Emrakul the Promised End. All right. Well, that's not good for us. Does that just kill us? Do we just die now? So opponent going to Utopia Sprawl themselves. We gain life, draw cards. So the problem is they're just going to play all of our enchantments, and then they're just going to play all of our enchantments, kill our board, and discard all of our non-lands, and we're going to end up with a handful of lands and no meaningful board, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get back into it from there. All these Utopia Sprawls are doing serious work for our opponent. Gonna kill the Sethis, gonna kill the Sanctum Weaver. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Abundant Growth to draw a couple cards on our opponent's land. I don't know, maybe we'll end up with enough good things in hand that we still have a chance. I don't think our opponent, I don't know about killing the Sanctum Weaver. If I was playing our turn from our opponent's perspective, my focus would have been primarily on emptying our hand, I think. Like, you still kill the Sethis. Also, like, our entire hand is full of good cards. They're full of cards that might let us rebuild here. The only problem is we're not going to have that much mana. All right, opponent's going to pass. What do they discard? They get to discard 2. Solitary Confinement in land? Sanctum Weaver. Draw a card. Ooh, wow, okay. On Thin Ice. Get rid of the Emrakul. Draw a card. And we found a fetch land, so now we can get our Blood Moon back down. Stomping Grounds. Blood Moon. Draw a card. And all right, that's what we got. Pass the turn. Opponent does have double colorless, so Kozilek's Command is a thing this turn because of the spawn. Or it could be a thing. Holy mother. Playing all is dust. Okay. That is a big problem. That is a big problem, and I'm not sure how we solve that. Force of Vigor. Not very good at the moment. Well, we'll play a Sethis. Play a land. Let's play an Enchantress's Presence. If we win this game, it would be amazing. Emrakul and all is dust. Opponent. Kozilek's Command. To kill the Sethis and scry and draw. Well, we draw Enchantress's Presence. Yeah, that all is dust. That is a bad one for us. Opponent gets and hits us. Down to 4. Devourer of Destiny on Enchantress's Presence. It keeps getting worse. All right. Well, we draw Utopia Sprawl. So 1, 2, 3. I mean, our only plan here is Enchantress's Presence. Draw a card. I guess green. Into Solitary Confinement, draw a card. And pass the turn, see if we remain alive. All right, blow up the Talisman. So if they can blow up the Solitary Confinement, we're super dead. Otherwise, we got a shot. Oh no! Myco's pawn off the top. Does that do it? And now I don't know if we have enough mana. All right. Yeah, opponent. I think the problem we have is both of our Destiny Spinners are in the graveyard now. It's going to be tricky to... We're going to need to win with Seedcradle Witch, I guess. And that is not a given. Opponent gets another Eldrazi Temple. Passes. Well, okay. So we need to discard the Green Sun. A Green Sun. 1, 2, 3. Green Sun for a Sethis. Utopia Sprawl, draw 2 cards. Put it on white. And Sterling Grove, draw 2 cards. And pass the turn. Not dead yet. How do we win? That's a whole nother question. All Is Dust might be an argument for not playing Enchantress. People are playing All Is Dust now. This Eldrazi deck actually has an odd amount of enchantment destruction for being a mostly colorless deck. Opponent, Ugin's Labyrinth. No exile. Karn the Great Creator. All right, well, Trinisphere. Yeah, that is pretty bad for us. All right, so there's a Trinisphere to go with the card. Opponent can't kill us yet, but that does slow us down. So we need to discard, play a Blood Moon, draw 2 cards. Oh, there's a Sanctum Weaver and a Seedcradle Witch. Okay. Play a Sanctum Weaver, draw 2 cards. Snow-covered forest, go. We've gotten Emrakul and all is dusted, and we're still trucking for now. So I'm sure Karn can get something bad for us. But the Sterling Grove means they can't just target like the Blood Moon or the Solitary Confinement. I'm just not sure how we get through lethal damage. That's the, oh my god, engineered explosives. Oh, they have a Sowing Myco spawn. So they're not gonna explosives yet. Oh, I guess they can. They didn't blow up one of our lands. So they can explosives on 2. Oh, but Trinisphere. They can't pop it, right? They can't pop it. They're a mana short. Passing. Yes, discard Green Suns. Oh, if only we had a Destiny Spinner. So how much does this tap for? This taps for 7. So if we Force of Vigor away these 2. So we get rid of the Trinisphere. So blow those up. Play the Seedcradle Witch. We need to sack the Sterling Grove to get rid of Shroud on Thin Ice. Untap Sanctum Weaver. Tap it for green. Actually, should we play the Sethis first to get more enchantments? So tap it for green. Untap it. Tap it for white. Untap it. Tap it for green. Untap it. So we've gone infinite. we use both of our finishers. So we might go infinite and not actually have a way to kill our opponent here, which is very awkward. Very, very awkward. What a game of Magic this has been, though. Tap it for green, untap it. Now we will play the Sethis. Draw a couple cards. Keep the old Sethis. On thin ice. Draw a couple of cards. Get rid of the Emrakul. Sterling Grove. Draw a couple of... Whoa, Moto. Oh, Moto. Moto's losing it. Draw a couple of cards. Lush Portico. See what's on top. Oh, yeah. Just kidding. Sack the Sterling Grove. Get a Sanctum Weaver. Untap it. Untap it. Tap it. Untap it. Tap it. Enchantress's Presence. Sanctum Weaver. Draw 3 cards. I mean, we're going to have to stop casting spells here shortly because we are running out of cards. Blood Moon. Sterling Grove. Sanctum Weaver resolves. Okay, so that's really big. Opponent's got a block. Untap it. Tap a green. Untap it. So now what we need to do is make Sethis lethal. Untap the Sanctum Weaver. Tap it. Untap the... Oh, I hope we win this. Tap it. Untap it. Pump you. Pump you. Unfortunately, what's supposed to happen here, and what we couldn't do here, yeah, pass the turd. What was supposed to happen here, but what went wrong is we lost both of our Destiny Spinners. And what we do is when we go infinite, eventually we draw into the Destiny Spinner, and then the Destiny Spinner wins the game on the spot. That's the card we're missing since we don't have any left. Opponent gonna turn on the Talisman. They got a chump block with, oh man, we could still get here. So Solitary Confinement, discard a fetch land. We don't get to draw a card. Tap it. Untap it. And untap it. And tap it. And tap it. And untap it. And untap it. Can we do this without timing out is the other question. We're not going to have much time for game 3. Tap it and tap it. Untap it. So those are lethal. Pump this. Pump this. Pump this. Pump this. Pump this. Well, you know what we can do? 1 on thin ice. 2 on thin ice. I'm pretty sure we only have 3. Actually, I'm sure we only have 3. All right, so there's no point. Well, do this. Do this. Well, opponent's going to get 1 more draw, basically. Opponent blocks. So opponent loses all their creatures. Uh-oh, Moto. 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 Well, we got to win this one because we're not going to have time for game 3. Draw, draw, draw. Bunch of lands, Utopia Sprawl. So they can tutor with Karn, but can they tutor for something with Karn that gets out of this through the Sterling Grove? That's the question. Emrakul, he can't target us though, right? Gain control of target opponent during their next turn. We got Shroud! Ah! Oh my god, I can't believe we won this game. This was one of the craziest games of Modern I've played in a long time. All is dust. Emrakul, and all of our finishers, Dawn to the All is Dust, and Seedcradle Witch, our secret tech, literally against all the odds. Comes through and lets us log through. I think our opponent maybe did not realize how Shroud works with Solitary Confinement. An opponent realizing and scoops it up, and holy mother was that a game. I mean, that is, I guess, a testament to how resilient our deck can be. We just had to fight through an incredible amount of disruption. Like, an insane amount. The All is Dust. The All is Dust is so insane against us. The Emrakul. I still think the turning point in the game, I think I would have played the turn, if I was in our opponent's seat and I was on the Emrakul, let us keep the Sanctum Weaver as much as it sucked. And what I think they needed to do is they needed to try to like combo off with our deck and draw a ton of cards with all the Enchantresses and have the end game board state essentially be us having so many cards in hand that they can discard all of our non-lands and trust that that's going to get there. I think the way our opponent did it, like, well, we cast a couple of things, we kill a couple of your things. The Emrakul just wasn't impactful enough somehow to steal the actual game, even though it stole our turn. I mean, that's Modern at its literal best. Like, that was a ridiculously close, super interesting match. I mean, that's what makes Modern great. Well, up to 2-1. Let's keep it going. Sounds interesting. Normally we want our one Seedcradle Witch in the deck, but we might just be able to go infinite kind of quick with this hand. The bad news is we don't actually have any card draw. Although, if we really have to, we can tutor some up with Sterling Grove. In our perfect world, we find card draw and get to keep the 2 Sterling Groves to make sure our enchantments are safe. Opponent, Underground Mortuary. I'm gonna do a little surveilling to the top. Opponent also did some serious mulliganing. On Thin Ice. Well, Vern Catacombs. Crack it. Snow-covered forest and abundant growth. Go. Yeah, more abundant growth. Okay. Delighted Halfling. This might be Yogg. Could be Yogg. Solitary Confinement. Well, we're going to play a Snow-Covered Plains. So the safe move is Sterling Grove, Sanctum Weaver. The explosive move is Sanctum Weaver into Sterling Grove. I think we play it safe. Let's play the Sterling Grove. Our opponent mulled to 5, right? So hopefully playing conservatively is a way to go just because we have more cards than our opponent. Do they have another Surveil land? They do. Mills, well, all right. We know they're definitely Yogg. That much is for sure. I don't know how this matchup goes. I feel like they can win through Solitary Confinement, which is awkward. Agatha's Soul Cauldron, okay. Passing. Can we draw a land? A land would be the best. Opponent gets in, hits us. Not going to Soul Cauldron, sure. Overgrown Tomb, tapped. And land? Green Sun Zenith. I really want to play this Sanctum Weaver. Can we give our opponent a turn? How bad is our opponent? So they can turn this into a Yogg. All right, I think we're gonna play it safe. On Thin Ice, get rid of the Delighted Halfling, or as safe as we can, considering there's a Soul Cauldron with a Yawgmoth in the graveyard. So get rid of the Delighted Halfling. We could just Abundant Growth. Is that better? Yeah, let's Abundant Growth. See if we can draw a land. We really just need to hit a land. If we hit a Green Source, then we can also Green Sun. It's not great. Missing these land drops, not great. This is making it way slower than we want it to be. Yeah, activate Soul Cauldron, sure. If we weren't missing so many land drops, I'd feel kind of good about where we're at, but considering we just cannot find a land, opponent. No, not passing. Running out Yogg. Green Sun for 2 to get a Outland Liberator. All right, so that can blow up the Sterling Grove. And opponent is going to blow up the Sterling Grove. All right, not ideal. And then they can exile it. Ugh. Utopia Sprawl. We just cannot find a land. On white. Sanctum Weaver, I guess, go. I'm just worried that now they can play a creature. Soul Cauldron. And make a bunch of Outland Liberators that can just keep blowing up our stuff. If we untap with the Sanctum Weaver, we actually get to make some mana for once. We draw a Sethis. Let's tap this for green. Play the Seedcradle Witch. Tap this for white. Untap Sanctum Weaver. Well, this is our opponent's time. If they got some interaction, this is when they can use it. Court of Calling X0 to get a Dryad Arbor. Eats the Yogg. And then sacks the Dryad Arbor to blow up the Sanctum Weaver. Yeah. Boy, this lack of lands is really becoming a problem. Well, we will play a Sterling Grove. And pass the turn. All right, opponent, how about just drawing some useless lands for once in your life? About it. Passing. Holy crap, it's still not a land. Play a Sanctum Weaver. Green Sun for our Dryad Arbor. And pass the turn. Hold. Untaps. Okay. How about no creature for 1 turn so we can win this game? Maybe win this game. Try to win the game. This Soul Cauldron's doing some serious work for our opponent. All right, Cord X2 to get a Bowmaster to target the Seedcradle Witch. Well, that's going to make it hard for us to win the game this turn. We draw Enchantress's Presence. We'll tap this. Play Sethis. Play Enchantress's Presence. Trigger the Bowmaster. Opponent, going to ping our face. And eats a Dryad Arbor for some reason. And opponent going to snipe the Dryad Arbor. So we get our Enchantress's Presence. Destiny Spinner. Draw 2 cards. Removal would be nice. Green Suns. Opponent pings us. And Blood Moon. Might be worth considering. Wait, what is... I'm so confused. What is our opponent doing with the boat? Why do they keep sacking their token? Our opponent might actually just have this. They kind of just have us oddly locked here at the moment. Well, we get to draw some cards. Another Green Sun. Opponent pings us. So we cut our opponent off black mana. We finally hit a land. All right, so we had to go 22 cards deep to find land number 3. Opponent. Play the Wooded Foothills, and yeah, I mean, pass the turn's all we can do. So they can use the Bowmasters as a Outland Liberator, so they can blow up enchantments, but then that does cost them their Bowmaster. Opponent, Delighted Halfling. Oh, I see. They were Bowmaster. They were sacking it as a Yawgmoth. So they were drawing cards with their Bowmasters. I mean, if we untap here, I think we win. Like, the Destiny Spinner should just be game, right? We draw Green Sun Zenith. We can play the Solitary Confinement. Our opponent keeps popping off. We can fire up 2 lands and attack. That's got to be the best plan, right? All right, let's make some mana. Destiny Spinner a land. Destiny Spinner a land. Let's Green Suns for 2. I think we just get another Sanctum Weaver. Attack ya. Attack ya. Opponent. I'm going to blow up a Sterling Grove. Egg of the Soul Cauldron is quite the card. Opponent's going to eat a Dryad Arbor to put a counter on the Delighted Halfling. I hope we have this. If we don't win this turn, I'm very worried that we're going to just end up dying. Like, our opponent's doing their thing now. Opponent going to blow up an Anthenice to get another Delighted Halfling. The problem is, at the end of the day, they still have 2 10/10 Tramplers going at their face. And they don't have any black mana, so they can't just kill them. They can't use the Soul Cauldron, so they can't buff their toughness. They can, like, sack the Bowmasters to blow stuff up. I guess they could sack Bowmasters to blow up Blood Moon to turn on black mana to have, like, a Fatal Push or something. But then at least I guess we got rid of the Bowmasters. Hold that cold. We really, opponent sacks the Halfling to draw a card and shrinks the Sanctum Weaver, and opponent scoops it up. My goodness. Okay, now we get to bring in Rest in Peace for sure. Man, that Soul Cauldron almost carried. Our opponent was on the Mold of 5, and it came very close, very, very, very close to that Soul Cauldron winning our opponent the game. So I think we go down the Blood Moons, even though they were kind of fine there, but our opponent has so many mana dorks, I don't think we can really color screw them realistically. We got on some Abundant Grows, and I think we're actually going to bring in 2 Force of Vigors. I'm very scared of the Soul Cauldron. We saw the power of the Soul Cauldron there, where the Soul Cauldron came very close to actually just stealing that win for our opponent. On to game number 2. Ooh, all right, we got Rest in Pieces. Awkwardly, we have a Dryad Arbor, which I really don't like. Actually, on second thought, I think we actually have to mulligan just because the mana is so bad. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, our turn to go to 5, I guess. All right, this will keep, although, boy, oh boy. Dryad Arbor, get out of here. Lush Portico, you get out of here, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, our turn. Our turn to be with 5 cards. Mount it. Verngatagomb's in. Yeah, Dryad Arbor is so bad. It's so bad. It is so bad. Temple Garden, tap, go. If you're playing Green Sun Zenith, you gotta play it, just because it is so good if you Green Sun it on turn 1. Well, this hand again has no mana. It's got a bunch of, or it has many manas. It has no card draw. Well, that is a Rest in Peace. I do like Rest in Peace. Let's Windswept Heath. Crack Windswept Heath. Snow-covered forest. We are just going to play a Sterling Grove. Opponent. Crack in the Catacombs. All right, no Bowmasters, so that's nice. At some point, we're going to need to Rest in Peace. I think we would prefer to just draw land, and then we can Sanctum Weaver plus Rest in Peace. That would be the best. Opponent, Hapatra. Well, that's a combo piece. And the land. Opponent passing. All right, land. Land. Enchantress's Presence. Oh boy, if we play this, we probably die. But if we do nothing, it's really, yeah. All right, we're playing Sanctum Weaver. If they can combo, they can combo. Not much we can do. We gotta get some velocity. Like, we could just on thin ice pass. I'm afraid they're gonna get, okay, they get a swamp, not a Dryad Arbor. That's good at least. We need the mana. We need the mana. Opponent combat. Gonna hit us. I guess I can put a -1/-1 counter on itself. All right, going to Abrupt Decay the Sterling Grove. So I can put a counter on the Sanctum Weaver. All right, this is all very bad for us. Yeah, down to a 0/1, and they get a snake. And a Windswept Heath, and opponent passes. Well, we will on thin ice to get rid of the Hapatra. And yeah, I mean, I guess all we can really do is run out an Enchantress's Presence and hope we keep living. We have had an amazingly hard time hitting our land drops this match. I mean, we still won game one somehow. I do not know how we pulled that out. Opponent has not had that problem. Our opponent, if anything, might be having the opposite problem where they're drawing too many lands. They found every Verdant Catacombs already. But yeah, last time it took, what, 22 cards to get land number 3? We had to draw almost half of our deck to get land number 3. Force of Vigor to blow up our board. And a Delighted Afflict. And opponent gets in with the snake. Well, we can play a Sanctum Weaver. I guess play a Rest in Peace, but boy, this feels bad. Pass the turn. We nuke the graveyards, but Hapatra can still combo even without the graveyard. And here comes Yogg. Yeah, if they have Yogg, we're done. All right, yep. Yep. Yeah, where are our lands? Well, yeah, on a game 3, we're on the play. This is a weird deck, like... In theory, we have so much card draw. We only play 20 lands, so it's not like we're playing an absurd number of lands. But in theory, we just like draw enough cards that we should always be hitting our land drops. But boy, that is not been the case this match. Whoa, wow. I feel like our sideboard has not been that good. Our sideboard feels pretty medium to me. It's very, very prepared for artifacts and enchantments, which I guess does have value in current modern. And it's got the graveyard covered with Rest in Peace, but we can't really shut down a Yogg. We don't really have any extra removal outside of the Anthenices. I mean, I guess that was also a mull to 5. It was not an especially great hand for us. All right, here we go. Oh my God, not again. All right, we're mulliganing the 0-lander, which we're so good at drawing every time somehow. We got to keep it. It seems more okay than great, though. I'm so scared to put Windswept Teeth to the bottom, but I think it's the right thing to do. We're going to put Windswept Teeth to the bottom. We are once again going to trust our deck that it is not going to brutally mana screw us. Yeah, no card advantage engine either, but we do get to Green Suns out of Dryad Arbor. So, little fast mana start. So get the Dryad Arbor past the turn. Forest and Delighted Halfling. You draw a Snow-Covered Plains, so we'll play the Snow-Covered Plains, run out the Sterling Grove, Shifting Woodlands, and Wall of Roots. Well, opponent's off to a pretty fast start. Double Mana Dork. More Windswept Teeth. Well, we'll play the Sanctum Weaver. Play the Windswept Teeth. We might have to sack the Sterling Grove, but even that feels pretty bad. We can do it, but we don't even have an enchantment in hand to play if we get card draw with it. Going to Besage the Sterling Grove. Well, in that case, I think it's a pretty easy choice to get a Snow-Covered Forest and sack it. I mean, I guess it's Enchantress's Presence. So we know we're drawing the Presence next turn, but we can't actually trigger it. Malevolent Rumble. Opponent. Well, Wall of Roots are a land, I guess, so not the scariest Rumble. Although eventually they're going to find a Yogg, and then everything is scary because they just win. Gonna crack the Verdant Catacombs. Grabs a Swamp. Oh, Bowmaster to kill our Dryad Arbor. Yeah, this one not looking good. Not looking even a little good. This is actually looking absolutely horrible, opponent. Well, I mean, 1, 2, 3, play the Enchantress's Presence. What else we doing with our lives? Windswept Teeth. Go. Well, we did hit our lands this game. Our deck did decide. This game it decided you'll have all the lands you could ever want. I mean, if they have Yogg, we're probably just dead. Even if they don't have Yogg, we are in a heap of trouble. Wow. Yeah, this is about the most over I've ever seen a game be with this deck. How about it? I'm going to go with a very strong attack for 3. All right. I guess one of the downsides of Enchantress that we're realizing is we kind of accidentally pick up on some artifact hate, like cards that people are playing to deal with Affinity or Breach, decks like that. I think we're just like accidentally picking up on a lot of that same hate. The Force of Vigors, the Besages. Well, Sethis go, but Sethis can't even really dig us out of this because of the Bowmaster. Like, we would like to chain together some enchantments and start doing something, but since our opponent killed the Sterling Grove, we don't really have a way. Oh, they got Cord? If they have Cord, yeah. I mean, this is just game. We'll let them get the Yogg and then we'll scoop, but there's no coming back from this position. Post's gonna have like 15 cards in hand. We have 0. We can't use our Sethis. Yawgmoth and game. Well, I'm glad we got that one out of the system before our league ended because, wow, I know we got game 1, which was impressive, but good lord, that was some awkward running for our deck. The good news is we can still feed the kids. We just got to win next round to get the 3-2. So hopefully we can pull that off. It is round 5, and we got to win this one. If we're feeding the kids, we got to win this one. And this hand looks fine. It would be nice if the Dryad Arbor lived here, but we will see. Opponent, oh god, Guide of Souls. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Not energy, not energy. Well, let's get down that Dryad Arbor. Opponent, can we beat energy? This is actually probably like Mardu energy, or maybe it's, yeah, it looks like Mardu energy. Well, opponent, Bloodstained Mire, cracks it. Can they not have the cat at least? Can deal with a Guide of Souls if there's not a cat. If there's both, Goblin Bombardment. Are we killing the Dryad Arbor? I would be fine with that. If our opponent sacks their Guide of Souls to kill Dryad Arbor, I would accept that. Opponent, down to 19. Well, we will probably just get down this Enchantress's Presence. So Snow-Covered Plains and 1, 2, 3, Enchantress's Presence. A Johnny would also be pretty obnoxious. We'd really like the Dryad Arbor to live, but we can't really control that. If it lives, we double Sterling Grove, and then I feel like we'll be in a pretty good, hopefully a pretty good spot. All right, opponent. Ooh, Seasoned Pyro. That's bad. Arid Mesa cracked for a Plains. All right, not Seasoned Pyro. Flage. Yep. Oh, that's really good. So they can Flage our face and then sack it to the Bombardment to kill the Dryad Arbor. The way we win this game, and we'll see if we can actually pull it off in time, but the way we win the game is going to be Solitary Confinement to shut down these shenanigans. But we're going to have to get it pretty fast. So Dryad Arbor down, opponent. Yeah. Well, let's see what we can draw. Lush Portico. Well, we're actually going to fetch for that. Well, let's play the Sterling Grove, draw a card. Another Enchantress's Presence. Well, play the Lush Portico. I actually think we're going to get rid of that Enchantress's Presence. We have so many presences now. We need to find the Solitary Confinement. We need to find it pretty quick. Double Sterling Grove, Enchantress Presence, Solitary Confinement should be the win. If we can make it long enough. If our opponent just goes aggro and gets back this Flage, all right, they're going to get a Surveil land. So Flage can come next turn. So we probably have 2 turns. If we're going to win this, we probably have 2 turns to lock it up. Orcish Bowmaster. That is actually kind of bad, because as we draw cards, it is going to deal a lot of damage opponent combat. It also lets some Guide of Souls, gets and hits us. Can we okay, let's think about this. Can we Solitary Confinement this turn? So if we sack this, get a Solitary Confinement. We play it, draw a card. We discard the Green Suns. Next turn, Enchantress's Presence, I think we have to. But then Thraben Charm just beats us. Actually, can we survive this turn? That's the real question. Can we survive this turn? So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, it's close. Yeah, I think we got to risk it. I am not happy about this, but there's too high of a chance of us dying if we don't do this. So we have to get the Solitary Confinement. Verdant Catacombs. Crack the Verdant Catacombs. Temple Garden. Untapped. And Solitary Confinement, draw a card. So this keeps our opponent from targeting us and damaging us. The only problem is we don't get to draw cards anymore. We skip our draw step and we got to discard on our upkeep. If we make it through this turn unscathed, I feel pretty good about where we're at. So they can ping our face here down to 7. If we survive this turn, I think we're good. If we do not survive this turn, then obviously we're not. But I think Enchantress's Presence plus Sethis, or actually, we probably go Presence Sterling Grove. All right, opponent's going to sag it to ping it. I mean, they can get us low here, but we're already low. And low is not dead. Can you beat a Solitary Confinement? That is the question. Going to continue sacking down to 5. Solitary Confinement at the ready. Are we good? If they blow it up, it's over. If they blow it up, we're definitely dead. Arid Mesa. But if we survive this turn, the Sterling Grove protects it. And I think we have enough card draw to keep it around. And we should win eventually. Opponent. Raccoon Theater. Still want that Secret Lair, Wadsy. Maybe we need the Surveil lands like Bloomburrow. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we need each of the Bloomburrow, cute animal tribes to Ocelot Pride. That's fine. I mean, our opponent popping off is fine. We don't really care about our opponent popping off. All we care about is the Solitary Confinement living opponent. All right, passing, making tokens. Sure, doing Guide of Souls things. I mean, I think we win through this eventually. So opponent passes. We need to discard the Green Suns. We don't get to draw. So Windswept Heath. Crack Windswept Heath. Snow-Covered Plains. And now we will 1, 2, 3 Enchantress's Presence. Okay, Abundant Growth is fine. Opponent can Bowmaster, but they can't Bowmaster us. All right, they're going to hit the Guide of Souls. And then as much as I'd like to play the Sethis, I think it's got to wait because the way we die is I'm blowing up Solitary Confinement. So Sterling Grove, draw the second one. Okay. Opponent gonna do a little pinging, grow the Orc army. Wooded Foothills. Okay, Sterling Grove down. We're close. We're close to having it locked up, I think. And opponent, yeah, can't beat it. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. Taking down the energy deck. Okay. 1 win away. 1 win from beating energy. You know what? I think, man, our sideboard is not super set up for this matchup. Let's look at Mardu Energy. What answers? What answers are they likely to have? You don't see Mardu as much anymore. Mardu, it seems like in the Energy Wars, if you look especially at the most recent, Boro's still up there. Mardu, almost off the top page. So they might have a Thraben Charm. They might have an Exercise. Actually, they're probably not super prepared for our deck either. So I think the question is mostly, can we lock it in fast enough? I think we actually go up to the Authority of the Consuls and down a couple Blood Moons. All right, we got to do it with our opponent on the play this game, but well, that has a lot of cards that we want, but it's missing one very important thing, which is any mana. All right, well, this is sketchy, but we're going to keep it. Seedcradle Witch to the bottom. I don't like having to Utopia Sprawl on a non-basic, but I guess that's life. Ocelot Pride for our opponent. Passing. Land, maybe? Destiny Spinner. Well, let's... Stomping Grounds untapped. Ouch. And, yeah, I mean... Yeah, let's Utopia Sprawl on white, pass the turn. Opponent, Bloodstained Mire, and gonna get in with Ocelot Pride. We do have a Solitary Confinement, which is good. Opponent gonna start making some cat tokens. All right, just passing though. Noah Johnny's something at least. Land, maybe? All right, that's Windswept Heath. So 1, 2, play the Sterling Grove, play the Windswept Heath. We could Green Suns out a Dryad Arbor, but I think we would rather Green Suns out the Sethis. So the way to keep Solitary Confinement around, and Solitary Confinement is our most important card in this matchup, but the way you keep it around is having some Enchantresses down. And plus, against this deck, the odds of them being able to snipe a Dryad Arbor with a Bowmaster is kind of high. Opponent, Theater, gonna leave it on top. The Sterling Groves helps though. That lets us get our Sethis and not worry about it immediately dying. Opponent gonna Thoughtseize. They can take the Green Suns and leave us without an Enchantress effect. We can get a Surveil land, which is something, but the next step is definitely a way to draw cards. I guess we could play Destiny Spinner on defense? Wow, takes the Solitary Confinement. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. That is long-term our opponent's biggest problem. We're just not set up for it yet. Like, we are at least a couple turns away from that actually being a thing we can realistically do. Gonna get in with the Dorks. It's us. Gonna make more cats. At least there's not a Guide to Souls. Ocelot Pride without the Guide to Souls. It's still good, but it's not as good. I'll crack the Windswept Heath. Opponent probably has a Bowmaster. Let's get the Lush Portico. Do a little surveilling. Yeah, I think we're going to keep the land. We'll keep the land for now. Opponent makes a cat. We untap. And, I mean, I think it's Seth this time. Hilariously, Seth is actually a good blocker here. Oddly effective. Well, that's Green Suns. Get the Sethis. Play the Windswept Heath. Pass the turn. Wait, can we actually... Is this Sethis actually just going to stonewall this Ocelot Pride? That would be pretty sweet. Static Prison. All right, so opponent's going to go for the Sterling Grove. Well, we will crack this. Snow-covered plains. Do we let it go or do we sack it? Yeah, let's sack it. Another Sethis. Well, now they can like Fatal Push or whatever Sethis. Galvanic Discharge takes it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they still need another body to turn on the City's Blessing. Opponent makes a cat. We're at 10. So we draw the Sethis. Well, green, white, play the Sterling Grove. It hurts to have to do it this way, but I think we have to do it this way. Green, white, play the Sethis. Back where we were last turn past the turn. So opponent can just let this go, I guess. Not really any reason to pay for it. Opponent. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, now we can at least start drawing cards with Sethis. Opponent's trying to figure out if it's worth it, so they're going to attack with the tokens. We will block one of them. Drop to 8. Well, untap and draw. Snow-covered forest, not great. Well, play the Snow-covered forest. 1, 2, Destiny Spinner. Draw a card. Seedcradle Witch. Yeah, let's just pass. Not the best time for our secret tech card. Not the best time for that, opponent. I really can't afford to stack the Sterling Grove, but I really want to sack the Sterling Grove. All right, opponent, discard Season Pyro, Fatal Push. At least Destiny Spinner is kind of a real blocker. Can block the Goblin. Sterling Grove's so good. Like, that's a card that's giving us a chance here. Like, Shroud on our creatures is really, really, really helpful. Guide of Souls. And a Goblin Bombardment. Oh boy, that is also a concern. If we sack the Sterling Grove, I don't think we can sack it. I think we just gotta wait and hope we draw an enchantment and chain some stuff together. We can get the Solitary Confinement, but then they can just kill all of our stuff. Also, they're gonna get a Fable. We might have one more turn. Opponent combat. Makes a Treasure. Well, I mean, we will kill the Goblin. I guess I can sack it to deal damage. Yeah, sacks it, hits us down to 8. Okay, Abundant Growth, any enchantment, especially ones that draws cards. We need to do a little snowballing, and we need to do it now. All right, untap draw. Enchantment? Okay, oh wow. Okay, very interesting. 1, 2, 3. Well, Solitary Confinement. Draw a card. Ooh, Wooded Foothills. Not great. Play the Wooded Foothills, pass the turn. So we're gonna have to sack the Solitary Confinement. So it's a 1-turn reprieve here. Fable's gonna flip. Opponent's gonna gain a life. I don't know if he survived the next turn. Showdown of the Skulls. Gonna draw some cards. The new One Ring, apparently. Ocelot Pride, Thoughtseize, Emperor of Bone Season. Wow, that is, well, no lands, but solid action. Whew. I wish we had a Surveil land left to get. Passing. Gained a life, so I get to make a silly cat. Well, let's thin the deck. Get a Temple Garden. All right, we needs a miracle. We needs a miracle. Opponent Guide of Souls, triggers. Unless there's a miracle, we die next turn. We really need 2 Enchantresses to keep Solitary Confinement going, and we only got 1. Well, not sacking that. All right, or not discarding to that. Enchantment, please? Nope. All right. Well, that does it. Because of the Goblin Bombardment, they actually just straight up kill us now. Well, if there's good news, any bit of good news, it's that we get to play first. Do we even care about this Blood Moon? You know, we'll keep one. Actually, I kind of want one Rest in Peace. Let's go to one Abundant Growth. Let's run it like that. Rest in Peace, I feel like, it does shut down a Johnny flipping, right? It also gets rid of Flage. So, and they might have Chthonian Nightmare, so I feel like it's probably worth keeping. All right, now it comes down to this. Are we feeding the kids or not? It comes down to this game. And, well, we cannot keep this because Dryad Arbor. You know, honestly, oh, man. Oh, no. Yeah. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do when you can't get away from the friggin' Dryad Arbor? Oh, good God. Mull to 4, which I am relatively confident means this game's over. Oh, we had some good hands along the way. The problem was our mana. And honestly, this is making me think that the Dryad Arbor is just not worth it. Like, it has not felt good. It has not felt even a little good. Yes, there's been times when we've tutored up with Green Suns, and then it always just dies. And we pretty much just lost this game because it was in our deck. Like, if we did not just keep mulling into Dryad Arbors, we would have had an actual real hand of Magic cards that we could theoretically do real Magic things with. But instead, we mulled a 4 on the play, and we're just full-on Miracle mode. Like, we just need a miracle to happen to have a shot. And opponent has the Static Prison. Looks like the kids might be hungry. Well, we'll sack the Sterling Grove. I'm sure this means our opponent also has a way to kill Sethis. Like, or else you don't make this line, I don't think. All right, Static Prison. Extracts the Sterling Groves. Kind of surprised they brought those in, but sure. Kill the Sethis, and then I think we just scoop. We also don't know what's on the top of our deck anymore, because this makes us shuffle. We could have let it go and Besage it, but that doesn't feel good either. All right, you got the final piece of the combo. Yep. I mean, I guess we won't early scoop, but I think we are basically at 0% here. Pana gets in, hits us. Ocelot Pride popping off. We draw an On Thin Ice, which I mean it's a fine card. It's a fine card. There's just not enough. Pass the turn, man. I don't know what to think of this deck. So we did get to see the upside of Green Sun Zenith with the cool infinite combo that just wasn't something that we had before, which is nice. Like, that part's super cool. On the other hand, we have also seen the downside of playing the Dryad Arbor to go with Green Sun Zenith, at least, really just messing with our mana. I feel like that's the biggest issue this deck had, is just like mana. We had like so many games where we were just kind of like mana screwed, or Dryad Arbor in hand, or the one stomping grounds in hand and not being able to do anything. That was a pretty consistent struggle. When we didn't have those issues, the deck ran really well. But when we had those issues, oh boy, it's tough to overcome. I think the other challenge, I guess, with Enchantress is it's just not a super quick deck. And it is incredibly inevitable once it starts going. Like, once you get it going, assuming your opponent doesn't have some enchantment wrath or whatever, which, you know, Force of Vigors and so forth, it is things that happen. Abundant Growth. Well, I mean, Abundant Growth, draw a card. And best card in the deck? No, another land. Well, sorry, kids, not your league. So what do we learn? What do we learn about this deck? Let's do a little wrap up here. What do we learn? What do we learn about this deck? And I gotta say, definitely good news, bad news. So we finished with a 2-3. Would have much rather had a 3-2. That's kind of the baseline I'm shooting for when you're playing janky decks. Like, I'm happy if we get a treasure chest out of it. Always awesome if we get a 5-0, but, well, you know, 3-2 is at least acceptable. 2-3, a little bit worse, but boy, there was just some weird running. And that's Magic, right? When you play Magic all the time, sometimes you're going to have leagues where you draw your Dryad Arbor an insanely high amount of the times in your opening hand, and you got them all again and you lose because of it. So anyway, what about this deck? So the record was definitely medium. What do we learn about the deck? And I will say, so the innovation here, right, is Green Sun Zenith, Seedcradle Witch to go infinite. It was really cool when it worked, and we did get to see it work sometimes. Honestly, maybe I'm a little biased because of how rough Dryad Arbor was this league, but I'm almost wondering if it's worth playing the Dryad Arbor, or is it worth playing the Green Sun Zenith is? I'm actually not 100% sure. Like, maybe there is a cost to this. There is a cost, right? These are 5 slots in our deck. And we talked about throughout the league, we don't really have a lot of extra removal in our sideboard. There's no like catch-all removal that gets rid of any permanent. So we're missing some stuff like that. These 5 slots are pretty valuable. It's nice that we can use these 5 slots as extra copies of Sethis and Sanctum Weaver, our 2 most important creatures. But there is a cost to filling our deck with Green Sun Zenith, because those are slots that are not going to something else. So I feel like overall, the deck felt kind of mid to me. I think it picks up on a lot of accidental hate. I was thinking, okay, everyone's prepared for artifacts right now because of Mox Opal, but maybe enchantments will be fine because everyone's playing Meltdowns and Stony Silences. But it turns out, while that is true, and we dodge some of that hate, you also pick up on like the Force of Vigors, and there's stuff like that that absolutely just wrecks us. So it might be that the meta is a little bit hostile. Bowmasters is everywhere. Bowmasters really good against Enchantress plan if we don't have Sterling Groves and Solitary Confinements. So I feel like the deck kind of medium, although the combo itself is really neat, and I still like the theory of this deck, and I'm still glad that we got to play it, because I feel like one thing I've talked about in the past is whether a deck does really well or does really poorly, learn something from it, right? That's the best thing you can do, is learn something from it that you can apply to future decks in future leagues in future games. And I really like just the deck building of this deck. I like how it shows how Green Sun Zenith, you don't have to be a toolbox deck. You don't got to be playing a million one-ofs. The Green Sun Zenith can be really solid as a way to get your key pieces, and then you add in 1 single extra card. And because that essentially gives you 5 copies of the extra card, you can really build around it and find it consistently. So even though really we had a Green Sun Zenith and a Seedcradle Witch, the ability to find it is pretty easy, and it adds this whole new line of attack of being able to win the game right away. So it's a deck that I think really cool on paper. In practice, I feel like it's probably a little better than it looked today, just because we had some weird running. But at the same time, I also feel like the meta might be a little bit hostile, because we also got kind of blown out by All Is Dust. We got by Force of Vigors and Beseiju. So there are a lot of things that can snipe our enchantments, even though the meta is more artifact focused. So anyway, That is Seedcradle Witch, Green Sun Zenith, Combo Enchantress. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will talk to you soon.